So this week we're going to be studying and learning a little about photography and the law. As a photographer and law student and law school graduate, I sort of have a unique take on law, I guess, and photography because I sort of studied both. And I don't know how many photographers, professional photographers in that regard, know a lot about law, and I don't know how many lawyers have worked as professional photographers. So this like element of photography and the law is super interesting to me, and I'm really passionate about it. And so I just wanted to share some of that stuff with you guys this week. A lot of the stuff we don't know, and I don't know how much you guys know in terms of like maybe even like the terms and conditions you guys sign up for when you sign up for where you can share your photos online. I don't know what you know about who owns photographs and content we produce. And so I want to go over some of those things with you guys this week. This is one of my most exciting and the things I'm most interested in is where photography and law come to a crux or come to an intersection. And I think in the next maybe 5 to 10 years, we're going to see a ton of laws and things come about because sharing photos and things online are it's sort of a new frontier. Like we don't even know, we didn't even know about like some of the legal aspects and implications of sharing photos online, right? I mean, some of these things where what kind of legal liability do influencers have if they like say, we should buy things or endorse certain products, right? There's laws for television and stuff, but there aren't any laws really for social media, and that's starting to change. Also, like, what can people do with your photos? Can they use them to say different things? Can they use them inappropriately? These kinds of things, you guys, you're going to start seeing a lot of laws come forward that probably are going to be again, depending probably on the administration, they're going to be to protect us, to protect people, and so that we can protect our rights and protect our photos, right? And make it so that we own them and people can't use them inappropriately. So what can you photograph? We're going to talk about the people, the places, and things, both in private and public spaces, right? What can you photograph legally? Most of us think we could probably photograph whatever we want. There are some probably common sense things we can't photograph, but let's look a little bit about the things we can photograph and what we can't, right? So the big key word is the expectation of privacy. When we know what we can photograph is usually based on if someone has an expectation of privacy, you can't photograph them in that place. If they don't have an expectation of privacy in that place, then you can photograph them, right? And I'm talking here about people. Objects and stuff and landmarks and historical landmarks and things like that and landscapes, those are sort of fall into sort of a different like a different category. But right now we're talking about sort of people and when can we photograph human beings. And so basically in California, now rules are different, laws are different in different states, but if you're in public in California, people are allowed to take photos or video of you in public even if you don't like it. You can tell them, please stop photographing me, and they can still photograph you or video you, right? You don't have to give the consent. You don't have to give them permission, right? Where you don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy, and this includes most public places, and pretty much anything can be recorded, and you could be recorded, photographed, doing anything, right? I mean, consider some of these people that are like out on the streets and people photograph, let's say Britney Spears when she shaved her head, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is super important. The paparazzi follow people around and photograph people all the time. And usually they photograph them in a public space, which makes these people like, fair game, right? But you can't commercialize or make money from an image without somebody's consent, right? You can't take their image and use it to promote a commercial entity, a business, or a product, right? And that differs from newsworthy. When I say commercialize, I don't mean it's you can't take it and put it on the cover of a newspaper and sell it, right? Because newsworthy and news events for the public are very different than commercializing something. Because commercializing something is sort of like acting like the person you photographed, the face you photographed, acting like they endorsed it or they're supporting it. And we'll get to Michael Jordan's debacle in a minute, right? So you can't in private. You cannot. There's lots of stuff you can't do, right? If they're in private, and again in private, they have an expectation of privacy. So in California, and again, laws are different in different states, but in California, you have the right to be free from intrusion upon seclusion and unwarranted and undesired publicity. So if you're in a public place, then most likely it's legal for other people to record you. If you're inside a private home, even an Airbnb, which is considered a residence, right, it is likely a violation and invasion of privacy if there are cameras recording you. So these people that put cameras in their Airbnbs and record you, that is an invasion of privacy, and you have an expectation of privacy in a home, even if it's owned by somebody else. Surveillance cameras on the outside of the house, though, are generally legal, right? So more specifically, it's an illegal physical invasion of privacy to enter the land or airspace above the land of a person without permission in order to take a photo or video, right? It's trespassing. So whether there was a physical trespass or not, like you don't have to step foot on somebody's property, right? But it's also an illegal invasion of privacy to use a device like a telephoto lens, right? Or to take photos of people engaging in private, personal, or familial activity. Totally illegal in California. Now, that being said, there are some cases we're going to see where people have tried to skirt that and get around that, right? Now, it seems sort of like common sense that you would have an expectation of privacy in your home. You would not. Where else would you have expectations of privacy? You'd probably have expectation of privacy if you're using a public bathroom, right? Or if you were undressing or changing into some an outfit you just purchased at like the Buckle or any other retail store, right? You're in the changing room, someone slides a camera in under the door and they're photographing or videoing you. That is, you have an expectation of privacy, right? Also in a public space, if somebody tries to put a camera or a video up your, like under your dress or under your skirt like that, something like that, clearly that you have an expectation of privacy even in a public space in that regard, right? Because that's be clearly like an illegal action. I mean, so Arne Svensson, this guy, is he an acclaimed artist or is he a creep? Now, Arne Svensson, he had been taking pictures of New York residents inside their lower Manhattan apartments with a long telephoto lens, usually reserved for like sports or wildlife, and he did it without their consent. Thus confirming like one of the biggest fears of most New Yorkers, which is they value their privacy. So after seeing these photographs published in an article in the Tribeca Citizen, which was like a little neighborhood weekly newspaper, a couple of the subjects seen in the photographs, Matthew and Martha G. Foster, they filed a complaint in the court in New York in May of 2013 and sued Svensson, right? They sued him because he had photographed them and their minor children, James and Delaney, and they claimed that he photographed them without their consent, which of course he did, because the dude was photographing him from a long ways away with a telephoto lens. They did live in a glass apartment or a glass high-rise, right? But some of the images, right, showed the mom, Martha Foster, she was holding her son in a diaper. Their daughter, Delaney, she was wearing a little bathing suit standing beside her. They argued that they were frightened and angered by the defendant's utter disregard for their privacy and the privacy of their children. And furthermore, the photographs were used for commercial purposes. Now that's key here, right? They said these photographs were used to promote an exhibition where they would be put up for sale and were also on sale online, and thus constituted advertising and trade. Okay? In August of 2013, the court ruled in favor of Svensson on the grounds that the photographs were protected under the First Amendment in the form of art. So they appealed, right? They were pissed, and they're like, you got to be kidding me. So he can basically photograph us in our home through our windows, and it's art? What about our expectation of privacy? But ultimately, the invasion of privacy that happened in this situation was not actionable because Svensson's use of the subject images constituted artwork and therefore were not considered used for advertising or trade purposes under the statute in New York. So they appealed this, and the appellate division confirmed that the order of the court, and Justice Renwick in the appeal wrote that, however disturbing Svensson's conduct may be, By publishing the photographs as works of art without any further action toward the plaintiffs, there was no viable claim for violation of the statutory right to privacy. Now, I don't get that, because to me, this dude is like a creep, man, photographing people through the windows of their homes. And honestly, I mean, I hate to tell you, Arn, but to me, dude, you look like a creep. You look a little bit creepy. I mean, you're creepy to me. And I get that you got away with it in New York. I think the laws in California, though, the peeping Tom laws, I think that would have, I wonder if California laws, we wouldn't have allowed this, right? In New York they did, but California, I think that our laws here would not have considered this art. They would have considered you invading people's privacy, and you'd have been sued by these people, right? So here's some of his work. This is his series, The Neighbors. These are his photos of people. Now, if you look at them, you almost can't tell, like, I mean, it is sort of tough to see who these people are, right? To sort of see their identities and their faces. And I think that's sort of important in the case, because a lot of them, they're sort of unidentifiable. And that's sort of a key thing too. Like if you photograph somebody on the street in the back of their head, and you sell the back of somebody's head, unless they've got some really unique tattoo, really unique scar, or something that's super identifiable and unique to that individual, there's no way you're going to be able to tell that's them, right? So some of these images right here, I think they're sort of beautiful. They're a little bit, I mean, they are a little voyeuristic, right? But you'll see that this was his artwork. These were his things, and he shot these over a year. He shot thousands of images, and I read online, it says he consulted with like attorneys to see if he was within his rights to do this. These have been published and exhibited in art galleries all over the world. So by photographing these people, Arne Svensson became famous. Not to mention a little bit of notoriety with him, right? I mean, like, you know, he gained a lot of attention, a lot of notoriety. I mean, people probably came to see some of these photos simply because he was sued and stuff, and it created such a stir online and everywhere, right? Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I mean, you guys make up your minds. I mean, how would you feel if you were photographed doing this kind of stuff? I mean, I think that I don't know, if somebody photographed me from behind right here and they couldn't tell it was me. I mean, I don't know if I'd be really bothered, or if they photographed my dog. But it's just sort of interesting that these people, I think that people in New York, if you're living in a big glass, what do you call it? Skyscraper, or big glass, building or condo, and you have big windows open all the time, and you're standing in front of a window or doing stuff in front of your windows, just because it's a super high rise doesn't mean people can't actually, again, fly a drone up there or photograph you with a big long lens and photograph you doing stuff. I mean, yeah, I think you'd be a little more careful, right? And close your curtains or something to have some privacy. But most of us don't consider or don't think that some dude is going to photograph us with a big long lens into our, intimate lives. And yeah, so these are some images, you guys, of his series, The Neighbors. Now in California, we have what's called a peeping Tom law. While on another person's property without permission, right, which is in itself is illegal, because if you're on somebody's property without their permission, even if you don't wreck their property or do any damage at all, just the fact that you're on their property without their permission is a trespass, and that's illegal. That's actionable, right? It is illegal to peek in the door or window of any building where people live. Also, even if you were legally on a property, right? So if you're on a property and they asked you to come and take their garbage out, or they asked you to come trim their hedges, or if they asked you to come water their lawn, right? It's still illegal to look through a peephole or use a device such as binoculars or a drone to look inside a room or place where someone has an expectation of privacy with the intent to invade that person's privacy. It's an additional crime to secretly photograph or record this person. So you can sue people for both, right? For both looking through your stuff and photographing or recording it. So it's often referred to as peeking while loitering. It's a misdemeanor offense, right? And it's a crime here in California. So commercial use of someone's likeness, Michael Jordan, dude, won't be denied. I mean, the GOAT was never denied on the court, and he will not be denied in, well, that's That's hilarious. He won't be denied on the basketball court, and he won't be denied on the legal court either, right? I mean, the dude is very rarely lost any court cases, and he didn't lose much on the basketball court either. This is a prime example of when somebody uses your likeness or your logo or your identity to promote their own commercial enterprise, right? So this stuff isn't newsworthy. This isn't anything. All this is about here is that Jewel Osco and Dominic's both thought, oh, cool. Michael Jordan's getting this award or whatever, and we're gonna run off that and use his shoes, and we're gonna use his jersey, and we're gonna use his name, right? Even if they're saying congratulations, Michael Jordan, you're a cut above, they're not promoting Michael Jordan. They're promoting the flipping coupon on the bottom. They're promoting Dominic's. So what they're doing is Dominic's is hopping on the back of what Michael Jordan's worked for his entire life, right? He's promoted 23 and Michael Jordan as he's won championships, as he's made lots of money. He's this brand associated with his name and his jersey number are his. And you shouldn't be able to make money and grift off of somebody else's career and hard work or somebody else's identity. And this is what they're doing, right? Now, these guys thought they were going to win, and Jordan won. And Jordan won because they were promoting a commercial identity or commercial enterprise off of the back of his hard work and his identity. Cannot do it, right? One of the reasons was that they said that the placement of the Jewel Osco logo in the center of the image and the repeated use of Jewel Osco's "Good things are just around the corner" slogan. So basically, Jewel Osco is running their own slogan and their own logo and their own stuff. Even if they're congratulating him, they're running. The motive, right, and the end goal was to sell their own stuff and to, congratulate Michael Jordan, sure, but what they're doing is using him to prop up and advance their own business and their own commercial ideas and their own business. Okay, what are their constitutional protections? Right, we've got some of these. We've got some constitutional protections that we have as photographers or as content creators, whether it's video or photo or whatever. And a lot of these are in and lie in the First Amendment. Right now, some of these will come up in crime and criminal proceedings and criminal stuff we see and when we're out and about. Now, in the past 10 years, it's become more and more, as smartphones have become more and more popular and most of us have them on us, we've started photographing things in the public sphere. And we've also started to photograph police, and you've seen a lot of things online on YouTube with traffic stops and protests, and you've seen video recordings in court with police actions and things. The reason that's happening is because we're protected outside when we photograph people in a public place. Even the police fall under this, and we have a First Amendment right to do this, right? It was challenged, okay? An officer was sued, right, for First Amendment retaliation based on allegations that the officer obstructed the filming of a traffic stop by standing in front of the plaintiff and shining his flashlight into the camera. So basically what happened here was there was a traffic stop. A bystander was trying to film the officer as he was doing the traffic stop, and because he retaliated and flashed the light into the thing and prohibited the person from exercising their First Amendment rights of freedom of speech, he was sued. And the qualified immunity that most officers have didn't hold up. So the appellate court recognized a constitutional right that we all have to photograph and video and record police officers performing their duties. They also reiterated that the First Amendment protects the right to photograph and record matters of public interest. This includes the right to record law enforcement officers engaged in the exercise of their official duties in public places, right? So there are two general exceptions to this rule. And this dude was a well-known photographer photographing the George Floyd protests, and he was arrested standing on the other side of the road from where the officers were working, and they said he failed to get out of the way fast enough, right? And we'll see why he was arrested. So first, a person, you do not have the right to film if it impedes officers from performing their duties. Now, what's going to happen is they're probably going to say, look, I'm going to arrest you because you're impeding me from performing my duties. But then eventually, after you go to jail and after it works out where it turns out you weren't, you'll be released and everything will be okay. But second, there is no constitutional right to film police activity in private forum. For example, you can't record in a sheriff's office, within a courthouse, or anything like that, right? So any private place, you still can't. It still sort of works the exact same how it works for the rest of us. You can photograph police in a public place. You can't photograph them doing their private stuff, right? And as long as you don't get in their way, and as long as you don't impede their duties, you are fine to photograph them doing whatever they are doing, right? And record it. In fact, it's our First Amendment right to do so. It keeps everybody on the up and up. And just know that if they ask you to take a step back because they're trying to like have room or something like that, take a step back, right? I mean, if they ask you to take a step back a little bit here and there, give them the space, right? It's not going to kill you to take a step back and give them some space to make sure that nobody's harmed. It's generally their what do you call it? It's their job to make sure everybody's safe and nothing happens and you're not endangered and you're not endangering them and you're also not endangering the person they're trying to arrest, okay? So just know that you can always photograph police based on your First Amendment rights in a public place, okay? Just not private. Now, photo ownership, who owns the rights to photos or content we produce? Well, let's see. Whoever presses the shutter button and is the one who captures the photo is the owner of the work. However, if you work for a company or business, they will generally own any work you create while you're employed by them, and if creating content is part of your regular work duties, and if you're creating the content while on the clock, right? This is called work for hire. So don't think that if you go take the best shot of your career, the coolest photo you've ever taken for some company, right? And then you go to sell it or do something like that, and you want to sell it or make some money off it. You can't do that because you don't own the work. I had a student actually, a former student, email me this summer, or she texted me this summer while I was in Scotland, and she asked me, "Hey Draper, I work for this company. I did all this work for them, whatever, and now they're saying I don't own it, and I was going to use it for something else, and they say I don't own it, and it's theirs." Well, it was theirs because she did it for them. She did it while working for them, and it was part of her duties to generate this work for them. So you can't. It's almost like double dipping, right? You can't work for them and be paid on the clock to do something, and then also get paid for owning and selling the photo, right? They own the stuff. So in summary, for the law we just covered, you can photograph anything as long as your subjects are in a public place and do not have a reasonable expectation of privacy, right? But you can't make money off their likeness through a commercial means. So think Michael Jordan. Think I take a photo of your face and I say, "Oh, this is Amber," and Amber thinks that Draper Photography is the best. And I put her image out there promoting my business. I would be sued, and she would win. I would totally lose that. So where would people have a reasonable expectation of privacy? Well, they'd have it in their homes, also other people's homes, Airbnbs, etc., like hotels, a public bathroom, a changing room in a retail store. You have a First Amendment protections when you photograph law enforcement in a public place, as long as you don't interfere with their work. And whoever captures the photo or content is the legal owner, unless you're under an employment contract, to do so, and it's work for hire. So the terms and conditions. We don't talk a lot about terms and conditions of what we sign up for when we sign up for some of these online social media platforms where we share our work, right? And where we share content, even if we just share it with one another. Terms and conditions, this is considered contract law. Whenever you click this little button and say, "I agree to these things," you're entering into a contract with the other side to do certain things, and they're entering in a contract with you to do certain things for you, right? So what are the Facebook's terms and conditions? So, the most important terms and conditions for Facebook are these: that when you put public and content up for public to see on Facebook, right, you allow them a non-exclusive, transferable, sub-licensable, royalty-free, worldwide license to use any IP content that you post on or in connection with Facebook. So that means they have a license to use the photos and videos you post. You own them, sure, but you give them permission, right, to sell them and to sell them to third parties and to let them do what they want with them without giving you any money, right? So the control of your photos, videos, and even information may only last as long as content is active on Facebook. Once it's deleted, Facebook's terms state that its incredibly expansive license ends. However, if you've shared your content with friends, that doesn't terminate because they still have it up there, right? So if your content has been shared with others and they've not deleted it, the contract and you sharing content doesn't end, okay? Instagram, which is now owned by Facebook, they don't claim any ownership of content that you post on or through the service either, right? Instead, you grant Instagram the same type of thing you sort of give Facebook, right? You grant them a non-exclusive, fully paid, and royalty-free, transferable, sub-licensable, worldwide license to use the content you post on or through the service, subject to the service's privacy policy, right? So that means, again, you give them permission to use your stuff, all your content. They can sell your content. And those people can license your content and sell it. And without paying any money to you. So, and also, you, the poster, would have to indemnify Instagram because in Section 4, subsection 3 of their terms, you agree to pay for all royalties, fees, and any other monies owed by reason of content you post on or through the service. Bottom line, Instagram still gets to sell your pictures without paying you, and you can be liable in the event that they have to return that money to the advertiser. Snapchat, for all content you submit to the services other than public content, so this means private content that isn't public, you grant Snap and their affiliates. Who are their affiliates? You don't know. So you're granting Snap and all kinds of business partners or affiliates to them who you don't know a worldwide, royalty-free, so worldwide meaning they can use it anywhere in the world, royalty-free without paying you anything, sub-licensable, meaning if they license it to someone, that someone can license it to someone else, and transferable license to host, store, use, display, reproduce, modify, adapt, edit, publish, and distribute that content. Good Lord, we gave them everything, right? So they can host it, they can store it, they can use it, they can display the content, they can reproduce. Oh, wait, what? They can modify the content. Oh my God. So basically, if you put something on Snap, right, and you're saying a certain words and things, and you're proclaiming let's say you're proclaiming your loyalty to the U.S. I love the United States. You know what they can put in your mouth? I love Iran. I love freaking whoever. They can put whatever they want in your mouth. So, and they can edit it. Oh my God, they can edit you. They can edit what you're saying. They can edit the context of and where you're saying. Dude, this is insane. These kinds of terms and conditions are like, I don't even, this one blew my mind, right? So, and let's go back. And that was private content that you didn't make public. Public content is even crazier, right? Because the license you grant for them is broader. So in addition to granting us the rights mentioned in the previous paragraph, you also grant us a perpetual license. Perpetual means forever. Like never ends is perpetual, right? To create derivative works, meaning they can take whatever content you post, and they can change it and make work based on whatever you post. They can promote, exhibit, broadcast, syndicate, sublicense, publicly perform, and publicly display public content in any form and in all media or distribution methods. Oh no, what? Now known or later developed? So they can use your stuff in ways that we know now or haven't been developed yet. You gave them permission to use all your content in 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 the future in ways you don't even know they can use it and not how they can use it. To the extent it's necessary when you appear and create, upload, post, or send public content, you also grant Snap our affiliates. There's that fun word again, right? Who are their affiliates? Who freaking knows? You don't know who you're granting all these rights to you and your content to, and your face and your words and the stuff you create. So their affiliates and our business partners, unrestricted, worldwide, perpetual rights and license to use your name. They can use your name and promote stuff. They can use your face and you to promote stuff, your likeness and your voice. You gave them your voice. So basically, I mean, dude, they can take your voice and say what they want it to say. Have they done that? I'm not sure if there's any examples. I need to look for that actually. I mean, that's something that just came to my mind. But I mean, dude, they can use your voice too and change the stuff in it, including connection with commercial or sponsored content. This means, among other things, that you will not be entitled to any compensation from Snap or their affiliates or anyone else, right? Okay. And the same document also states, well, what if I delete all my content? Does Snap still have it? They say, yeah, we'll delete your content, but we can't guarantee that messages and corresponding metadata will be deleted within a specific time frame. So they don't have a time frame for when they'll do that. Which means, I don't know, man. I would, if with a clause like that, I don't know if I'd ever delete it. Because saying they can't guarantee that stuff will be deleted within a specific time frame, I mean, geez. Now think about the implications of this just for a second, right? So let's say, I don't know, let's go back to this. Let's say that I'm running for president. Let's say, no, check that. Let's say I'm 17, I'm posting all this crap. I'm 18, I'm posting all this stuff. All these things I never thought would ever get out there. I mean, because it's me and my boys. We're just, snapping amongst ourselves. Stupid crap we're doing, whatever. We're just young and sort of whatever, not thinking about the implications of this because we really didn't think that these things we're saying amongst ourselves. We're just hanging out as friends, on Snap, sending snaps back and forth. We never thought this would get out here, right? When we were younger. In fact, the cool thing about Snap was once you sent something, it was deleted, and therefore it gave you this idea that it wasn't permanent, right? It wasn't like a permanent record. So let's say this. Let's say all this stuff I did when I was younger, and I have all these snaps. I've had it for years. I decide that I don't know. I'm gonna run for president one day, and somebody decides to purchase, as I would totally do this if I were running for political office. I would contact Snapchat Inc. and I would offer them $10 million because of course, you guys know how much people, how much money campaigns raise these days, right? I'd offer Snapchat 10, 20, whatever, tell me the number, $20 million to purchase my opponent's Snapchat history. And then, with their Snapchat history, I would play their stuff in political ads. I would play all the dumbest stuff they ever said or sent to their friends. And I would portray my opponent as an absolute idiot and find all the juicy crap that they put and posted to their friends that they never had anywhere else. And I'd buy that. And you know why I would be allowed to buy that? Because you told Snapchat that they could sell all of your content or give your content to their affiliates or business partners, and they could use your name and likeness or voice however they wanted. And they could use your content. They could also edit your content. Or what? Oh my God, right? Forever. So that makes me a little bit nervous. And then we have TikTok. Now TikTok, you guys, is a little bit of a different thing. TikTok is, not only do they have some of the same terms and conditions of Snapchat and the other social media sites, but they do they are data collectors that I realized, right? I did not realize this when I downloaded TikTok. look at some of the stuff that was on there that I thought was sort of fun. I didn't realize that they did this, right? So, and then I just read their privacy policy for this because I added this. I didn't have TikTok on my presentation. I had Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, but then because TikTok is so freaking popular and all my students are using it, I decided to download it, right, and be like, oh, this is really cool. I really love TikTok. It's so awesome. I love watching this. It's so addicting. Oh my god, I could literally just sit there and just like I could spend hours just like staring at it like an idiot. Sorry. Anyway. And then I read their privacy policy in preparation for this kind of stuff, and it just like, I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. So what do? Well, they're data harvesters. We collect user content through preloading at the time of creation. Stop right there. So that means that you didn't upload anything yet. You're just creating data. You're creating something, preloading, like at the time of creation, they collect it. So even if you never upload it, or never finish it, it's still collected by them. They collect user content through preloading at the time of creation, import, or upload, regardless of whether you choose to save or upload that user content. Again, what if it's a draft? What if you decide, man, I'm not going to post that? That would be dumb. Too late. They already collected it. They collected it, and you didn't even want to freaking save or upload it, and they still collected that. And they say, in order to recommend audio options, right, and provide other personalized recommendations for you. That's why we do that. We may access content, including text, images, and video, found in your device's clipboard with your permission. Where do you turn that permission off that they can't have that? You need to go look, right? For example, if you choose to initiate content sharing with a third-party platform or choose to paste content from the clipboard into the platform, we access this information stored in your clipboard in order to fulfill your request. Love it? We collect certain information about the device you use to access the platform, such as your IP address, user agent, mobile carrier, time zone settings, identifiers for advertising purposes, model of your device, the device system, network type, device IDs, your screen resolution and operating system, app and file names and types of your apps, keystroke patterns or rhythms. Why do they need your keystroke patterns when you type stuff on your phone? Battery state? Don't know why they need that either. Audio settings? Well, that's clear because you have to, audio is, a big deal in TikTok, right? And connected audio devices. We collect certain information, and again, certain information is ambiguous and unclear. We collect certain information about the device, such as these things, and connected audio devices. In addition, TikTok, when opening any websites in their app, injects tracking code that can monitor all keystrokes, including passwords and all taps. Why, when you open the website in the TikTok app, why would they inject a tracking code that can monitor all your keystrokes? Why do they need to monitor your keystrokes? Why do they need your passwords that aren't associated with TikTok? Why do they need all your taps? Don't get it, right? I don't get it. You're not in their app anymore. You're on a website that you opened from their app. And the second you open a website from their app, they're getting more information. So to me, it's a little sketchy. I don't know, right? I think that's a little sketchy to me. Now, this guy here, the headline says what? Americans in ISIS, some 300 tried to join, 12 were returned to the U.S. Now, these people, this guy looks, he's got a great shotgun. It's got a cool, It's cool camo shotgun. This guy's name is Robbie. These are my students also. How to tell someone they gave you an STD, right? On the Flow website. So as you're looking at these, just know that these are images that I ripped off their social media sites. I went and creeped on my students. I stole their images from their social media to sort of show you guys what if Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat, if they wanted to sell your images to third parties, this is what it would look like. And you would have no legal recourse because you told them that they could sell your image, your likeness, forever to third parties, to their affiliates. They could license it and sublicense it to other people and their business partners. These are my students, and they just got put in a flippin' article on how to tell someone they gave you an STD. Or how about this? Are you too clingy? Another student of mine with her little dog. Another student of mine. The 30 worst fashion fails that will make you cringe so hard. Imagine seeing your photo from some of your social media sites or your content posted, and all of a sudden you see you and your friends with a headline like this. I mean, do you think they actually go out and like shoot original content for this stuff? Like, why would you when you can buy it and never have to shoot anything? Is it wrong to drink alcohol while pregnant? Again, some of my students that I stole from their social media. Let that sink in a little bit. If I can do it, it might be super easy for social media companies to sell your content and license your content. So those are some ways that, I mean, that social media companies can use your content that you post, right? But there's other photo sharing risks. And these involve like backing up your content to the iCloud, for example, for like if when you back up or you sync your photos and you sync your stuff to a cloud, those clouds are only secure as the company's ability to secure them, right? I mean, and I don't know about you all, but to me, hackers are flipping little geniuses. And I don't know, I mean, there's Anonymous, there's all these hacker groups, we're constantly being bombarded by hackers in the States that they shut down a hospital system, they'll shut down a state's government, and they'll demand crypto and stuff. Why is it that we can't stop and prohibit them from shutting down all of our infrastructure and stuff? Why can't we stop that? I mean, and apparently back in, I think it was, we'll see in a second, these women were posting intimate content of themselves, and they had photographed intimate content of themselves and created intimate content of themselves, right? And then that got backed up to the cloud, and the cloud got hacked. So J-Lo, Avril Lavigne, Kate Upton, all of their nude photos were all of a sudden leaked all over online and available for everyone, right? And the problem sort of is that they didn't even know who photographed these people, right? So J-Law, I mean, she was really pissed. She was having all of her stuff removed and trying to get all of her images removed. But the problem is she couldn't get her images removed because she wasn't the author of them. She didn't create the images, and therefore she didn't own them. If you guys remember back a little earlier in the lecture when we talked about photo ownership, generally whoever photographs or clicks the shutter on the and creates the photo is the one that owns it. So if Jennifer Lawrence was dating these guys and they said, "Hey babe, let me grab your phone and I'll photograph you," and they did, even if they used her phone to photograph her nude, they own that photo, right? They also own the photos if they photographed her with their own phone. So honestly, you guys, it doesn't matter whose phone or whose camera you use. Whoever presses the button is the one that owns the shot. So she had a hard time getting some of her images removed because she wasn't the legal owner. And also she didn't want to have to divulge who the legal owner was, because that would be her divulging her dating, what do you call it? The people she was dating. She doesn't want to have to divulge all the dudes she was hanging out with, if they snapped a photo of her or with her phone or their own. So it put her in quite a jam, right? I mean, it was really awful. So, and this is one of the photos that was out on the online, right? So whoever shot this, she didn't shoot this. Okay? Her hand is on an apple, her right hand is somewhere else. But Jennifer Lawrence didn't shoot this shot. Some guy did, or whoever was with her at the time, her partner did, or somebody shot it, and whoever shot it owned it. So Jennifer Lawrence couldn't have this photo taken down because the author, the copyright owner, owned it, which was the person who shot it, not her. Okay? So one of the problems is this sleazebag his name was Xvala, he named himself, which I think, I don't know, just his name is sort of whatever. Anyway, artist Xvala, right? What he did is he downloaded all these images of all these women that went online, and what he was going to do is he was going to print them life size. So Jennifer Lawrence, Kate Upton, these women, he was going to print them full 5-6 feet tall, and then have a big art exhibition where you could walk through and see all these women naked, right? And he was going to say, yeah, it's a big art thing. It's going to be called Fear Google because I want to have, talk about this stuff. Well, what happened was these images were all over the internet, right? And he was able to, download them, and he put them on canvas, and he thought that was going to make him great. But what he said was, everybody said they accused him of exploiting these celebrities, right? And acting like it was art. And I honestly think that's what he was doing. That's just my opinion. But he said, that's not our goal. This is a commentary on who we are today. It's a dialogue about stolen property and privacy, how much we give and how much it takes. It was supposed to be a 7-part series, right? Britney Spears was in it. Scarlett Johansson was in it as well. We're not trying to do anything illegal here. We're not posting or sharing or leaking. It was all found on Google. We don't condone hacking. We have a message, and sometimes you have to go to the extreme to get people to see it. He just, I just think the guy is whatever. He said, the commentary behind this show is a reflection of who we are today. We all become users of technology, and in the end, we all become used. I don't know. Yeah, this is him right here. He's the Xvala, right? He's an LA-based artist. And you know what? The show never happened because he got so much pushback online for being a creepy loser that the show never happened, right? And so they were never, it just didn't happen. Thank goodness, because I just think that's sort of crappy. I honestly think it was exploitative. But you guys make your own, own conclusions on that, right? Richard Prince, this guy, he's an Instagram thief. Again, another thing that can happen, right, when we post our stuff online. Much less egregious than Xvala, the loser LA artist. This guy did it a little differently. And what he did is he went and took photos off Instagram, right, screenshotted them. He blew them up, and then he commented and changed the comments, right? So basically, he changed a little bit of it. He didn't change the photo. He just put his own comment and made some different comments, right? On this one, it says, hippie woman magnified under retreat to garden growing and rolling, ever slightly added syrup and ups. I don't know. And the one next to it says, Mary and Shane, churchgoers. I think he was trying to be cute or trying to be witty in some of these by putting his comments on them and then posting them. But if you'll see, these are in a gallery, and these are huge, right? Huge on the gallery wall. He sold some of these from $50,000 to $100,000 each. And these are all other people's work. So literally, he wasn't, and what's interesting is that he was not an affiliate he didn't license these from Instagram, or he wasn't an affiliate or a business partner of Instagram, meaning he didn't use these legally. He used these without any permission from Instagram or the original authors. So these are all the images that were part of his series, right? Called New Portraits. Here's Pamela Anderson. She's a known celebrity from the 80s and 90s fame. T-shirt bathing suit. Nice. Let's hook up next week. Lunch smiles. R. Okay, just saying, if you look back and see this dude and he's Let's hook up next week. Lunch, smiles. Dude, you're a creep, man. You are creepy. That's super creepy. Here are all of his, here's his gallery showing. I think this is one of the ones in New York, but he had several of these, right? So yeah, this was his jam. Well, how is he allowed to do this? Well, there's this thing called if the artwork is transformative, right? You're allowed to take work that's already out there, and as long as you transform it enough to create a different conversation with it, it usually is enough where you can get by legally and calling it a piece of transformative work. That you took somebody else's work, you transformed it and sort of made it your own, and then it's legally okay to borrow or appropriate other artists' work. But all he did was put a freaking comment on the bottom, and that's it. Right? America runs on donuts. Accurate NSX, there's no 911 out here. That's him transforming this work. I'm not sure that was enough to call this work transformative. I don't think he changed the work enough to make it his own. Certainly the photograph isn't his own. Here are people looking at his work, checking it out. This is how big the images are. Just to give you guys an idea of the scale of these images, right? He took them from really tiny little thumbnails that we see on our feeds to this big. They're huge. Now, is it interesting? Yeah. Is it sort of creative and sort of like are they new portraits? Is it sort of a new type of a way to, I mean, you'd never expect to see Instagram photos in an art exhibition like this. Yeah, but I don't think he transformed the work enough to make it his own, to clearly call it his own. And several people sued him, right? So not just these people that are in the photos, but some photographers sued him because they were pissed. But imagine if that were you and you saw this up on a wall in an art gallery in New York, and the tag was, the price tag said $100,000 and it said sold underneath it, and this was you or your photographer friend who shot it, and you guys got no compensation for this, and it's your work and it's you. So these two lawsuits are still pending and going forward. A couple others were dismissed earlier, but on May 15th this year, a U.S. federal judge ruled that the lawsuits could proceed to trial because Prince did not provide initial evidence to prove that his controversial new portraits series sufficiently transformed two of the photographs he appropriated. So these two photographs here were shot by photographers, and those photographers launched a copyright lawsuit against him, and it's going forward. And I think Richard Prince is going to lose this one. Okay? He's been doing this his entire life, ripping off other people's work and modifying it a little bit, and this time he didn't modify it enough. It wasn't transformative. So here's the Pope, puffy jacket, cool jacket and stuff. This looks great, but it's fake. It looks fantastic, right? This is getting super real. AI, artificial intelligence, is starting to get really good when it comes to content creation and image generation. I mean, look at this. Some people have been fooled by these images. What are the laws regarding AI? Nobody knows yet. All this stuff is legal. This is legal. A satire photographer had Trump and Bernie Sanders cheating on their wives and created this stuff in Midjourney, right? Which is a bot, an artificial intelligence, an AI bot on Discord. What if he did this of you? What if somebody didn't like you, uploaded a picture of you kissing your boss's wife or your boss's husband? How could you prove it wasn't real? This is the scary part of this stuff, right? Everybody thought the Pope was real. Very few people thought this stuff. I don't think people thought this is real right here. or Trump or anything else, right? And everybody sort of knew that those were fake. But everybody thought the Pope is real. This looks clearly fake, right? I mean, look, you can sort of see. It looks bad. It's bad AI. But AI is getting better. It's getting super good. Where it can match your voice now. I'm working on a voice cloner right now to match my voice. So I can have a little AI bot do all my lectures. It's going to use my voice, and I could just type the words, and my voice will say everything with my face. It's getting crazy.